part of our community. Our work at WBC is to support those businesses with opportunities to network, to find clients, and to meet referral partners. And our knowledge of different markets and our understanding of different business opportunities means that we have unrivaled business intelligence that we are here to share with our members. And we're also really committed as an organisation to supporting our local community too. And we support a lot of local education providers. So we support students and young people, helping them to get opportunities for work experience and full-time employment. And we front that through something called the Ben Hughes Memorial Fund. So if that all sounds really interesting to you, do take a look at our website. And I'm very happy to have a one-to-one with everyone that's not already involved with Westminster Business Council. So I'm always excited about our events, but today I'm really excited to have the team at Genius in 21 Days with us today. Genius run a monthly course that focuses on how your brain works to retain information. So they help you to drive your memory function. So they, throughout their course, they teach you the techniques on how to remember numbers, facts, words, language, and how to get that into your long-term memory. And when you know how to do it, it really is life-changing. And I can really talk from experience because I did the course myself in December. So as well as working for Westminster Business Council, some of you may know that I run a travel company. I'm a tour guide across Europe. So you might be able to see some books here. I've got books all over the house, and my job is to consume that knowledge and be able to share those stories with my clients. And so I went to Genius because I wanted to be able to, read quicker. And when I got to the end of the book, I didn't want to have to restart it because I'd forgotten everything that was in it already. So I went to Genius with a specific challenge of being able to speed and strategic read, and also to improve my memory so that I could retain those facts and be able to speak freely without any kind of notes. And so I did their 3-day course in December, which was intense but amazing. And at the end of the course, using their techniques, I can now weirdly remember 50-digit numbers within the space of 30 seconds. And I was able to do a 20-minute speech with no notes. And I learned the speech 2 days before. So using their techniques, it really, really does enhance your memory. It's not difficult. You just got to know how to do it and practice. So I'm really, really excited to be able to introduce you to Yao and Martina at Genius in 21 Days. So I'm going to hand over to them.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you guys are doing amazing so far. So like Sophie mentioned, my name's Yao and I'm a senior mentor at Genius in 21 Days. Now, Sophie did an amazing job of describing her own journey through Genius. So basically what we do as a company is we teach you how to learn and how to learn more effectively and more efficiently. Now, at this moment in time, I wanted to kind of draw a distinction between how to learn and what to learn. So if you think back to school, okay, university, education, these are places where they teach you what you need to know. You need to know this for the exam, you need to know this, you need to know this. So they're very good at pushing knowledge towards you. But what they're not so good at, okay, and what takes a bit more effort is to understand, okay, right, how do I learn this information? Because school teaches you what to know, but not how to learn it. And that's where we come in. Because learning is a very, very individual art, okay? Every single one of us in this Zoom call has a different brain. Therefore, every single one of us will learn in a different way. And what we do is we help you to understand what is that unique strategy that you use to learn to enable you to get the most out of your own potential of your brain. Understanding that everyone learns in a different way. And so we apply a personalized strategy to helping you to achieve that goal. So this is who we are, okay? And in terms of how long we've been doing it, since 2008, okay? The current version of Genius in 21 Days started in Italy. And since then, we spread to over 6 countries around the world. So we started in Italy, then moved to Spain, Switzerland, UK, US, and now Ghana. We've had over 57,000 clients worldwide. And like Sophie mentioned, every single month, new people, both people in academia, people that are working and people that are retired, all come together on Zoom because of COVID, and they're bonded by one key thing. They would like to improve the way they use their brain, either because they have a goal they want to get to, or they're tired of being frustrated at learning something in the past and then forgetting it in the future. So in this session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about learning. I'm going to talk about learning through three main perspectives. The first one, talking about it from a theoretical perspective, to understand some of the theory behind learning and how learning really works. Next, we'll then look at learning from a practical perspective. So we'll understand what techniques you can use when it comes to memorizing. Okay, you can see what your brain will be able to do once you've learned the techniques. Like Sophie said, they're not difficult. It just takes you understanding what the strategy is. And then last but not least, I'll explain to you how you can get the skills that you've seen. So it's kind of follow that, though, this three-step strategy. So before I go on, I'd like to ask you all a question. So by a quick show of hands, who here is studying? Okay, a few hands, good. And by a show of hands, who here is working? I'm expecting everyone's hands to go up, which is why you're here. And so already I can see that some people are just working. Some people are doing both studying and working together. Now, why have I drawn this distinction? Because as a student, learning is your job. This is what you do. Okay, so it's very, very clear to see why and how this course is going to benefit you if you're studying. But when it comes to work, it's actually not immediately clear how learning more effectively can help you at work. Now, the reason why what we do is ubiquitous and it works for both students and also people who are working and also people who are retired is because at work, learning is essential. It's essential to progress. It's essential to even keep yourself afloat. Okay, we live in the age of information. There's so much data around, okay? And the data is only increasing. As people who are working, you need to be able to understand that data, process it, synthesize it. What do I need? What can I discard? And then retain what I need for the long term to be able to use at a later date. And so if we think about learning in this way, there's two kinds of learning that you can have. You can have proactive learning and you can have reactive learning. So what is proactive learning? Proactive learning is when you choose to learn something. Okay, I'm interested in understanding about COVID. So I go online, I type COVID in, and I find an article about it. I'm interested in learning about how to trade. I'm interested in learning about how to get into property. This is what I call proactive learning because you actively go out and seek the information. Okay, now all of us at some moment in time have chosen to do proactive learning. Okay, if you're studying right now, you've decided to go out and acquire this knowledge. And so it's very, very clear how what we teach here can aid proactive learning. But then you have some people who say, you know what, I don't actually do that much research and finding new information. So why would I need to do this? Why would this course be useful for me? And so to answer their question, we need to look at the other side of learning, which is reactive learning. Now, reactive learning happens anytime you're given information that you need to process. You're at work and a client calls you and says, listen, I need you to do this for me. You're at a networking session and someone says, oh, have you heard of this? This is when information or questions are coming towards us and we need to process these inputs. And so no matter what you do, either you have a combination of proactive learning or reactive learning. But the common thread here is learning. It is impossible to get away from, and therefore being able to learn more effectively is going to boost your competency in whatever job you do, and also your chance of success in the future. Whether you're a student, whether you're working, or whether you're doing neither, and let's say you're just retired and want to keep your mind sharp. So I've just said this to help you understand that learning is all around us. It's impossible to escape from. And given that's the case, it makes sense to understand what is the best way to learn. So even if we don't like learning, we can do it fast, effectively. And like Sophie mentioned, we then have to do the same thing twice. which is where a lot of frustration comes from when people say, I don't like learning. What they mean is, I don't like reading the same book again, not remembering it and having to read it a third time. This is really what they mean. Make sense? Fantastic. So when it comes to learning, okay, there are certain aspects that you can focus on, and there are many different stages to look at. But the one I'm going to focus on here, given the title of this session, is memory. So, by a show of hands, who here thinks that our memory can be improved? Okay, I see most people have their hands up. I have some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that actually our memory cannot be improved. Some of you are thinking, how do I get out this Zoom call? Before you go anywhere, let me stop you and let me explain what I mean. Our memory cannot be improved because it's already fine the way it is. Now, to understand this, it's important to think of our memory as separated into two distinct phases. The first phase is the deposit phase, where we first memorize something, where we put it into our memory. The second phase is the recall phase, where at some moment in time in the future, we need to go into our memory and pull out a specific bit of information to use. So we have the deposit and the recall phase. Now, out of these two phases, one phase is fine. One phase needs a little bit of work. So by a show of hands, who here thinks that the deposit phase is fine? Okay, some people put their hands up. Who here thinks that the recall phase is fine? Okay, I see fewer hands. So, if you voted that the deposit phase is fine and doesn't need any improvement, you are correct. There was a study done by a Canadian scientist called Wilder Penfield, and what he found out was that any information we take in through any of our five senses is stored somewhere in our memory. The issue we have is being able to recall that specific bit of information at the precise moment that we need it. Okay, think back to a client meeting where you got asked a question and you knew that you had seen information before, but right when they asked you the question, the answer's on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't remember it. And then what happens? Meeting's done. Okay, you're walking out the room and you think, of course, that was the answer. And it comes to you, but just not in the moment when you need it. This is what we need to solve. Okay, think of our mind like a search engine, like Google. How does Google work? Type in a question, how many miles from Earth to the moon, press enter, and instantly you have pages and pages and pages of results answering your question. Our mind works like Google, but just much slower. So when you ask yourself the question, how much did that client say he would spend in Q1 of 2021? And there's not an answer immediately there, your brain will keep rooting around and around and around in your memory until it finds the answer. The issue is, if that rooting around takes a long time, then recalling the answer takes a long time. So it's not enough just to know something, you need to be able to recall it and use it at the precise moment that you need to. Make sense? Fantastic. So to understand how to improve, okay, the recall aspect of our memory, what we need to do is we need to understand how our memory works. And for this, I'm going to describe to you the three main characteristics of our memory. Okay, and I will share my screen, so let me know when you can see it. Fantastic. So, our memory has three main characteristics. The first characteristic is that our memory is visual. What do I mean? It works in images. For example, what do you think of when you hear the word Tower Bridge? You'll probably think of the image of the Tower Bridge. Okay, or if I said to you, what do you think of when you hear the word United States of America? Some of you might say the flag, Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building. A few months ago, your first answer may have been Donald Trump. But usually, an image will come to your mind first before the word itself. This is because our memory is visual. Okay? It works in images. Another good example. Have you ever walked into a room, or let's say a networking event, because we've all been to networking events. Gone into a networking event, you've seen someone and you tell yourself, I know I've seen that person before, somewhere, I just cannot remember their name. Ever happened to anyone? Hands up, be honest. Happens all the time. And then you have that very awkward moment where you walk up to them, you don't know them, hey, you, how's it going? And you're trying to wait for someone else to say their name so you can remember it. Happens all the time. But the reason why you recognize that person is because their face is an image, easier to recall. However, their name is abstract information, therefore harder to retain. So this is a very important characteristic to understand. Whenever you want to memorize anything, converting it to an image is already going to make it easier for you to memorize. So all clear on visual. Fantastic. Next thing we have is associative. Our memory works like a chain. Now, what is a chain? A chain is a series of interlinked rings. And when you pull one end of the chain, the rest of the chain follows as a consequence. Our memory works in exactly the same way, linking memories together, and most importantly, linking that to a trigger. For example, have you ever been walking down the street, okay, you've heard a particular sound or a song, or you smelt a particular scent or fragrance, and almost immediately, all these memories come flooding back to you about what the scent reminds you of, what the song reminds you of, where you were, what you did, how you felt. Ever happened to anyone before? Again, happens all the time. Now, what's happened? Your brain has seen the first ring of the chain, which is the sound or the smell, and it's pulled it. And immediately, all these other things that have been associated to that one bit of data, one bit of information, come flooding back without even trying. Okay, this is because our memory works in this associative manner. So understanding how to link things together in the appropriate way automatically makes things easier to memorize. And there's another example here. What song do you, and what do you think about when you hear the song, your first relationship, your first love? One of two things, either happy memories, you might smile to yourself, think about everything amazing that happened together, or you might pick up the radio and throw it out the window because the memories aren't so good. But in both situations, the song's enough to trigger the memories, be they good or bad. So, all clear on associative. Fantastic. The last thing we have, or the last characteristic I want you to bear in mind, is that our memory is based on emotion. As human beings, we remember things that have a strong emotion associated with them. A good example is, if I asked you all what you ate for breakfast this morning, would you be able to tell me? Yeah, pretty confidently. Now, if I ask you what you ate for breakfast a month ago today, would you be able to tell me with the same level of confidence? Probably not. Now, the caveat is you don't eat the same thing every day. Okay, so let's say you eat something different every single day. Then it's going to be a lot more difficult to tell me. Now, if I ask you the same question, but I said to you, on this day last month, you had breakfast with your favorite actor or actress or sports person at the top of the Shard in London. Would you be able to remember with a bit more detail what you ate for breakfast? Yes. But in both situations, the information is the same. What did I eat? What did I eat? But in one situation, a very ordinary day. Nothing remarkable happened. In the other situation, because it was a very extraordinary situation, not normal at all, you would have had all these emotions surrounding the event. Happiness, nervousness, joy, excitement. And from these emotions, your brain is better able to anchor the information you want to recall. So we have visual, associative, and based on emotion. Any questions? Fantastic. So, given there were no questions, I'm assuming you guys are now ready to memorize something yourself, to put your memory to the test. Okay, I see faces have got a little bit more worried, but don't worry, we're going to be doing it together, okay? It's going to be something that's quite easy to memorize, okay? It's not too hard. It's just going to be this number. 24-digit number. Not too hard. Now, by a show of hands, who here thinks that we're going to be able to memorize this number with our eyes closed in less than 2.5 minutes. Thank you for your confidence. It's inspiring. Everyone's like, no way in hell. Okay, listen, I need you to trust me, okay? To do so, you just need to follow the instructions that I give you, okay? So when I tell you what to do, simply just follow. You won't need to write down anything, so put any pens and papers to one side, okay? And like I said, we'll be doing it with our eyes closed. So when I tell you to, you need to close your eyes. And simply, you need to imagine that everything I'm saying to you is happening on a huge cinema screen in front of you. That's it. Okay? So close your eyes and imagine. Everyone ready? Fantastic. So please close your eyes if you haven't. And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're sitting in the current seat you're sitting in right now. Okay? You get up and you walk out of your room. But when you walk out, you're met with a very strange scene. You see hundreds and thousands of people all kissing, all hugging. There's heart-shaped balloons everywhere. Why? Because it's Valentine's Day. Now in the middle of the crowd of everyone kissing and hugging, you see someone with a big white beard, a big red jacket going, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And you see his Santa Claus and he's giving out gifts. So what do? You go up to Santa and you ask for a gift. Put your hands out. And when he puts the gift in your arms, it feels really heavy, too heavy. And you start getting a little bit suspicious. And so what do? You call the police to come and investigate. And who did the police send? Their best agent, James Bond. Now when James Bond comes, he says, guys, don't be scared at all. Nothing dangerous about the gifts whatsoever. Actually, they're just fireworks for New Year's Eve. And then, as you open the gift and as the fireworks explodes, you find yourself sitting on your seat in your room on today's date. Now I want you to keep your eyes closed and we're going to recap the story together. But now, when we get to the thing that you memorized, I'm going to pause and I want you to say out loud the thing that you memorized. Everyone's on mute, so no one's going to hear your voice, so don't worry. But just make sure you say it out loud to reinforce it. Okay? Cool. So you walk out of the room you're sitting in right now, and everyone's kissing, everyone's hugging, everyone's in love. Why? Because it is Valentine's Day. Fantastic. You see someone giving out gifts. Big white beard, big red jacket. Who is it? Father Christmas, Santa Claus. He gives you a gift, you get a bit nervous, so who do you call? The police. And who did the police send? James Bond. Now when James Bond comes, he says, guys, nothing dangerous about the gift whatsoever. Actually, they're just fireworks for when? New Year's Eve. Fantastic. And then, as the fireworks explode, you find yourself where? Sitting on the seat you're sitting in right now on today's date. Now, give me a thumbs up if you know the story. Good. I see many thumbs. So let's open our eyes. Now, you don't know this, but you've just memorized this number. How? By utilizing the three main characteristics of our memory. The first characteristic was that our memory is visual. Now, can you see that the story we created was made up of many images? So what we did was we broke this number down and we gave each portion of this numbers an image. For example, 1402. What's the date of Valentine's Day? 14th February. 2512. What's the date of Christmas? 25th December. Who do you call? The police. You obviously use the number 999 to call the police. Who did they send? James Bond. Everyone knows the code of James Bond. 007, License to Kill. 31st of December is what? The date for New Year's Eve, which is when the fireworks exploded. And then as they explode, you find yourself where? Sitting on your seat on today's date. 11th of May, 21. And so we used the first characteristic, visual, to give each of the sections of numbers images. And then we used the other two characteristics. So the second characteristic was that our memory is associative. Can you see how we use the story to associate the images together? Fantastic. Now the third characteristic is that our memory is emotion-based. Now, I didn't see anyone shedding a tear as I was saying the story, okay? But I think we can agree that the story is a little bit weird. It's not every single day that you walk out of your room, okay, you're met with people all hugging and kissing, especially during COVID, and then Santa Claus gives you a gift. Okay, I mean, spoiler alert, Santa Claus doesn't exist. Okay, so it's a completely fictional story as well. But utilizing these three main characteristics, we've memorized this number. So what I would like all of you to do is, in the chat, okay, I would like you to type the number that we've memorized. But before you start, what I'd like you to do is think about the story as opposed to the number. So when you get stuck, don't go, okay, well, what came after the 3, which is the old pattern of memorizing. Ask yourself what came next in the story. Because if you know the story, then you know the number. But the story is easier to recall than the digits themselves. Make sense? So when you're ready, you can enter it into the chat. And then I'll give you a chance to check your answers soon. Fantastic, they've started coming in already. Good. So remember, guys, think about the story itself. If you ever get stuck or you want to check your answers, just think, okay, right, what was the story? If you've already done and you want to test yourself even further, what you can do is on a piece of paper next to you, you can try and write the number backwards. Backwards? Yeah, backwards. How? Just think about the story in reverse. So the story ends with you sitting on today's date, which is the 11th of May, 21. So then write that backwards. And then what comes before that? Fireworks. So then you write that backwards as well. I'll give you a few more seconds. Good. So I just seen in the comments in the chat, someone said that I was breaking. Can you guys all hear me fine? Okay, cool. Okay, brilliant. So let me share my screen and you can check and see how you did in the number. So check and see if you're correct. I see some satisfied nodding. I see some looks of shock. That easy? It is that easy. Fantastic. So has everyone had a chance to check their answers? Good. Brilliant. Now, what I want to ask you very quickly is, think about your reaction when you first saw that number, when you first said, I'm going to test your memory. You saw that 24-digit number come on screen. And think about what you thought in your head. Is this guy serious? What kind of a nut job has Sophie brought to present to us? How are we going to do this with our eyes closed in 2.5 minutes? And now think when you were typing the number, how easy it was to recall. Now you might have made a few mistakes here or there. And this is understandable. I've literally taught you the 3 main characteristics 10 minutes ago. But think about how easy it was to memorize that number compared to your thoughts about it beforehand. Think about how much less stressful it was when we did it together compared to how you would have done it before. Looking at it, repeating it over and over again, maybe writing it down over and over again. It might have taken you 2 days, a week to feel confident that you know the number. This is what it means when we talk about how to learn. Because school education, etc., teaches us that the results that we achieve depend on our level of intelligence. This is not true. I'm here to tell you that they lied to you. But I really like that teacher. It wasn't their fault. What we believe at Genius is that the results that you achieve depend on the strategy that you use. And in 10 minutes, I've taught you one strategy of one of the applications of one of the techniques that we teach. And already being able to see just how improved the results that you achieved are and will be. This is what I mean when I say we teach you how to learn. We teach you a strategy to learn. So whatever you need to learn, be it reading, understanding, memorizing, you know you have the opportunity to do so and the ability to do so quickly and effectively. Make sense? Any questions? You feel like you're ready to take on the world. Master Memorizer. Howard. Although I'm not sure your name is Howard, but... So you're on mute, by the way.
That was easy because you gave us a description, but say it's another number.
Mm-hmm.
Say it's another complete number. So we've got to invent a story around each number.
Exactly. So what you need to do is you need to be able to convert the number itself into images, because as soon as you have an image, you've already achieved half the battle, basically. Okay, if you have an image, much easier to retain than, okay, right, 1, then 4, then 0, which is when you would go back into your repetition pattern, which is what you want to avoid. And then once you've done that, then associating them together in a story that's weird, that sticks in the memory, is key. Now, obviously, it sounds a lot easier than in theory than in practice. But I wanted you to have an idea of just how easy it can be to see something that looks very, very difficult and then to memorize. Now, during the course, we teach you how to be able to do what you've just seen, but for anything. Okay, which is why Sophie mentioned she can memorize a 50-digit number, completely randomized, in much the same way. But obviously, she's gone through the process of honing the technique, not over a long period of time, okay, quite quickly, but to be able to do that for any information, because information isn't always standardized like we've given it to you, but it can be very, very random.
Right, thank you.
No worries. And this is a good point because it brings me very nicely on to the next part that I want to do, which is to show you how the techniques work when the information is completely randomized, when there is absolutely no pattern there. Because like we said, 1402 happens to be Valentine's Day, 2512 happens to be Christmas. But what happens when you've never seen the information before and you need to apply the techniques quickly and effectively? Now, to do this, I have brought along one of my colleagues, so Martina, another senior mentor genius. So Martina, give everyone a wave.
Hello.
Can everyone see Martina? Fantastic. Now, Martina is blindfolding herself, not because she's slightly odd, okay, but because she's going to be performing the same exercise that you did while blindfolded, because your eyes were closed as well. But it's going to be for something that's completely random as well. How's it going to be random? You're going to give her the things to memorize now that she's never heard before. Just to prove to you that the techniques work no matter what situation you're in, no matter what the information. Now I will, Sophie, can I share my my whiteboard to type the, yeah, is that all good? Okay, fantastic. Just want to make sure I'm not overstepping my welcome. Good. So can everyone see my whiteboard? So we are going to give Martina a list of things to memorize. Okay. What I'll do is I'll make a list, so number 1 and so on. And when you put your virtual hand up, no, when I call your name out, I'd like you to give Martina a random word to memorize. Okay, the word can be anything you want. There are no limitations. As complicated as you want, as difficult as you want. Okay, the one thing I would say is, please make sure that the words you give her are not related. Okay, we've already seen that our memory is associative. So we give Martina words like beach, sand, sandcastle, ocean, holiday, Baywatch. It'd be a bit easy for her to memorize, wouldn't it? Because they're all linked. So try and make the words as random as possible. Okay? And I want you to really test Martina. So you can get out your creative hats on and try and think of words to push her ability. Okay? So what I can do is I can simply just call your name out. When I call your name out, just unmute yourself. Okay? And just give me any word that you like for Martina to memorize. So we can start with John. Oh, so everyone's on mute, so I won't be able to hear you.
Sorry. Wallpaper.
Wallpaper. So number 1.
Random enough?
It is. We started well. So number 1 is wallpaper. Fantastic. Number 2, James.
Botanical.
Number 2 is botanical. Number 3, Christopher.
Christopher.
Glass.
As in like drinking glass.
Yes.
Good. Number 3 is glass. Number 4. So I'm going to describe the name I see on screen. So if your name isn't this, apologies. But Howard.
Greywatch.
Greywatch. How do you spell that? Is it Grey or
Grey. Yeah. Watch.
Like so, Greywatch.
Yeah. Right.
Fantastic. Got that, Martina?
Yeah.
Good. Thomas, number 5.
Toaster.
Oops, say that again, sorry.
Toaster.
Toaster.
Toaster. Yeah.
Like so?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Number 5, toaster. Number 6, David.
Genocide.
Genocide. Number 6, genocide. Number 7, Pat.
Tasty.
And tasty, like delicious, synonym.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Tasty like delicious.
Number 7, tasty. Number 8, Louise.
Outplacement.
So say that again, Louise.
Outplacement.
Outplacement. Oh, sorry, hold on. Let me. Like this? Is it one word or 2 words?
One word, yeah.
One word. Okay. I always feel like my English teacher from old is staring down at me as I'm trying to spell these words. Okay, number 8, outplacement. Good. Number 9, Tim.
Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolt. Fantastic. And number 10, Calvin.
Sonos.
As in the brand of the speakers.
Indeed.
Okay. Number 10, Sonos. So let's stop there. Here we have 10 very random words, so very well done. Okay, very little pattern between them. 10 words for Martina to memorize. So my question to you is, imagine that you're in Martina's shoes, okay, and you need to memorize this list of 10 words, okay, while blindfolded. What technique do you think you could use in order to be able to recall them perfectly? Give some suggestions.
Make up a story.
Make up a story. This is a good suggestion. Now, Pat said make up a story. It worked for 1402. Why can't it work for these list of 10 words? Now, Martina is actually not using that strategy. And for one main reason, because of the way you're going to be able to test her. Because you will be able to ask Martina any number and she'll tell you the corresponding word, or the word and she'll tell you the corresponding number. But most importantly, you will be able to ask her randomly. So you can ask her number 3, she'll tell you the word. You can ask her the number for tasty and she'll tell it to you. And from the speed of her recall, you'll be able to see that she's not using the story method, because if she was, she'd have to go through the whole story to get to the number that you asked. Now, if you're in Martina's shoes and you're doing this exercise, out of 10, okay, you can either put your fingers up, or you can put it in the chat. What score would you give this in terms of difficulty? 10 being the most difficult, 1 being incredibly easy. If you're in Martina's shoes and you're doing this blindfolded. Okay, I see fingers. I see some 6s, I see some 10s, I see some 8s. Okay, I see some 9s. Okay. Okay, good. Now, I want to make this exercise almost impossible. Okay, I want to get to 10 out of 10 difficulty. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make it more difficult by increasing the number of words. Now, Martina, is everything okay?
Yes.
She seems a bit too confident, guys. A bit too confident. Yeah, so I think we can definitely increase the difficulty. So I will start from number 11. And I will ask Julie for a word, please. Oh, okay.
Sorry. Ball gown.
Ball gown. All one word?
Yep.
Fantastic. Number 11, ball gown. Number 12. Apologies if I pronounced the name incorrectly. Is it Margot?
Yes, ergonomics.
Ergonomics. Okay. Now we're getting a little bit more complicated. I like it. Number 13, Florence.
Outrageous.
Number 13, outrageous. Hopefully, Martina performed something outrageous for us now. Number 14, Kelly.
California.
California. From your accent, I can tell it's close to home. Number 15. Again, apologies if I pronounce it incorrect. Is it Mary?
Moira.
Motorcycle.
Say that again, sorry, Maura.
Motorcycle.
Motorcycle, fantastic. Number 16, Kavan.
Hay fever.
Topical. I am also a fellow hay fever sufferer. Number 16, hay fever. Let's do number 17, Terena.
Medication.
Number 17, medication. Fantastic. Let's do number 18. Let's do Shelley.
Biochemistry.
18, biochemistry. Okay, good. So let's stop there. Now here we have 18 random words that Martina's had to memorize while blindfolded. So if you're in Martina's shoes, what would make this exercise difficult for you? Any suggestions? What would make it difficult for you to be able to recall perfectly?
The randomness.
The randomness. Correct, Florence. When it comes to learning, guys, our brain is a pattern finding machine. The more patterns you can find, the easier something is to learn. Now, you guys have done a very good job and you've taken my instruction to heart, because the words you've given Martina have very little pattern between them, which automatically makes it harder for her to memorize. But we expect great things from her, and so she'll have to find a way anyway. What else makes it difficult for you? What else will make it difficult for you if you're in her shoes? Some of the suggestions some people give me are the fact that she's blindfolded. So she doesn't have an opportunity to go back and look at the ones that she's done before.
Would you start off with a mindset that you simply can't do this?
So say that again, Tim.
Would you start off with a mindset looking at that 18 list that I'll never be able to do this? That would
So Martina may start off with that mindset.
Mm.
Yeah, and so honestly, a lot of the time learning does come down to mindset. And I always say the techniques that we teach are like a Ferrari. Okay, they're going to take you from point A to point B in faster than you've ever been before. But even a supercar needs fuel to run, and that fuel is the mindset. So 110%. Okay, a lot of the work we do is allow you to understand that just because something is difficult now doesn't mean it's going to be difficult forever. You just need to find the right strategy to do so. Sure. Completely correct. And also, one of the things is we haven't repeated these words again. So whereas with Martina, we said 17 and 18 quite recently, number 1 and number 2 were a long time ago. So she had to store it effectively in her memory to make sure that she had it there. Now, Martina, is everything okay?
Yes.
Again, she seems confident. So let me ask you guys a question. Out of 10, difficulty rating, what are we saying now for this exercise? Okay, I see some 10s, I see some 8s. Okay, I want to make this exercise almost impossible. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm going to get one more word from someone. Let me go to, I see T McLean. I'm not sure if that's the name, but that's your username.
It's Tiffany.
Tiffany, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Can I go for number 19?
Number 19, patience.
Number 19, patience. As in the virtual patients or like a hospital patient?
Virtual.
Okay,
patient.
fantastic.
Yeah, you got it right.
Nice. So number 19 is patience. And for number 20, I want to make this exercise impossible without memory techniques. And so what am I going to ask you to do? For number 20, it seems only fitting, given that we gave you guys, okay, a number to memorize, we give Martina the same. I think it's quite poetic to give Martina a 20-digit number for number 20. Okay, and I think if you can do that, difficulty rating becomes quite high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out your name, and I'd like you to give Martina a pair of numbers, okay, like 42 or 16, 07, 99, okay? And I'm going to ask 10 of you to give 10 pairs so we can get to 20 digits quicker. And then that will form the last bit of information for number 20. Sound good? Will that make it almost impossible for Martina? Good. Everyone's like, yeah, do it. Lovely. Good. So let me please have the first pair of numbers from, so I can see Shwalim. Again, I'm assuming that's your username, or is that your name?
Oh, is that me?
Yes.
Yeah. 43.
Fantastic. I will ask you all to say it clearly, so you only hear it once. So Martina, you only say it once, so Martina hears it for the first time, so I don't need to repeat it. Okay? Martina, got that number?
Yes.
Fantastic. John.
87.
Pat.
14.
So say that again, Pat.
14.
Fantastic. Thank you. Christopher.
85.
21.
Brilliant. So 85 Christopher, and then 21. Good. Got that, Martina?
Yep.
Thomas.
63.
Good. David.
92.
So those of you going, okay, what numbers haven't been said already? I like it. Good. Louise.
17.
Good. Let me just count how many we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so 2 more pairs. Let's hear from Tim.
24.
So one more time, Tim.
24. 24.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Julie, see us off in style.
13.
Fantastic. 1, 3. Good. So Martina heard all of that?
Yep.
Brilliant. So here we have 20 random bits of information, both numbers and words. Now, by a show of hands, with the fingers, out of 10, what difficulty rating are we saying now? I should see everyone's fingers, no toes, please, but everyone's fingers. Good, fantastic. So this is very, very difficult. We can all agree, okay, for many different reasons. Everything we said before, she's only heard them once, okay, she's had minimal time. We gave her a few seconds for each word. And also we've chucked in a 20-digit number just for an added cherry on the top. So if the question is, Martina, is everything okay?
Yes.
Okay, so Martina seems confident. So now you guys have a decision. You can either trust her that she knows it, or you can test her. So which one would you like to do? Trust or test?
Trust.
Okay.
David said trust. You've got at least one fan in the audience, Martina. Although I feel like he doesn't express the opinion of everyone else. Everyone else thinking, no, test. So we shall test Martina. So how's it going to work? On Zoom, okay, you know you can react and raise your hand. If you want to test her, you can raise your hand, and I will ask you to either give Martina a number and she'll tell you the corresponding word, or the word and she'll tell you the corresponding number, okay? And through doing it, okay, you'll be able to, number one, see if she knows it. And what I want to do is I want to test her on, let's say, 8 or 9 random ones, just to make sure that she knows all of them. Okay, so get a good spread. Okay, so if you have any repressed anger towards tests or examinations, now's your chance for revenge. Okay, take it out on Martina. She can handle it. Okay, so when you're ready, please raise your hand on Zoom, and then when I see your hand raised, I will call your name, and you can give Martina the one that you like to test her on. Okay, so I see Calvin.
Number 6.
Number 6 is genocide.
Wow.
The first one is luck. Okay. So, also, guys, after you finish asking, if you just put your hand down so everyone else can get a chance. Fantastic. Thank you. Louise.
Number 2.
Number 2 is botanical.
Correct. Pat.
Number 12.
Ergonomics.
Correct. I think I saw your hand, James.
Number 18.
Number 18 is biochemistry.
Fantastic. Howard.
Number 20.
The elephant in the room. Number 20.
Okay, so number 20 is obviously the number. So I'll just say digit by digit. So digit by digit we have 43871485216392172413.
Wow.
Correct. Good.
Well done.
We'll ask her 3 more.
How did she do that?
So 3 more. Who else wants to ask one? Tiffany.
Number 8.
Outplacement.
Correct. Let's ask her. We've got how many so far? 5. I'd like to get to 8. Okay, so let's ask her 3 more.
Number 4.
Grey watch.
Fantastic. Kavan.
What number is 17?
What?
17.
What word?
What word? Sorry.
Medication.
Fantastic. And one more. Anyone want to test? Ask the last one. John.
Number 11.
Ball gown.
Fantastic. So, how did Martina do? We should deserve a big round of applause. We should deserve a big round of applause. Oh, hold on, guys. So, I did say would she. Okay. Why? Because we've only asked her 8 random ones. So, there's a chance that we've only asked her the ones that she knows. I know it's unlikely. However, I want Martina to demonstrate that she knows all of them 100%. So, what's she going to have to do? She is going to tell us all of them from numbers 1 to numbers 20. But not only that, she's going to tell us which ones we've already asked her, so they have an arrow next to them, versus which ones we haven't asked her, and so they have no arrow next to them. Because when it comes to memorizing, guys, we talk about something called a dynamic memory. You can memorize a standard, and that standard can change in the future. So you need to be able to go and amend your memory as you need to. And I think after that, then we could dismiss Martina with a huge round of applause. Sound good? Fantastic. So Martina, when you're ready, please go from number 1.
Okay, so number 1 is wallpaper. No. Number 2 is botanical. Yes. Number 3 is glass. No. Number 4 is grey watch. Yes. 5 toaster. No. 6 genocide. Yes. 7 tasty. No. 8 outplacement. Yes. 9 we have thunderbolt. No. 10 we have sonos and is no. 11 we have ball. I think it, I mean, I don't know what it means. I think it's ball gown and is yes. 12 we have ergonomics. Yes. 13 we have outrageous. No. 14 California, yes. 15 motorcycle, yes. 16, sorry, motorcycle, no. And California, sorry, guys. So let's do it again. So we have 13 outrageous, no. 14 we have California and is no. 15 we have motorcycle, no. 16 a fever, no. 17 medication, yes. 18 biochemistry, yes. 19 patients, no. And 20 is a number. So for the number we should have 3, 1, 4, 2, and then we should have a 7, 1, a 2,
Okay,
9.
I'm going to stop you there, Martina. Can everyone see what Martina's doing? So she's going backwards. Why? Just because. I mean, why not?
Just to make a change.
Just to make a change.
So backwards we should have. Start again. 3, 1, 4, 2. Then we have a 7, 1, 2, 9, 3, 6, 1, 2, 5, 8, a 4, 1, 7, 8, and 3, 4.
How did she do? Very well done, Martina. You can take off your blindfold and see the lights once more. The best part of this presentation for me is seeing your reaction as she's doing this exercise and as she's recording them. And the matter of fact is, the only thing separating you from Martina is the fact that she's done the course. Like Sophie mentioned, some of the things that Sophie was talking about may, upon first hearing them, seem almost impossible. And I imagine Sophie, the first time she saw this, thought the same thing that you did. That's amazing, but is it going to work on me? The best thing about what we do is we teach you a strategy that, number one, works on everyone, but not only that, we teach you how to use it for yourself in accordance with your own learning preferences to really make sure that you tailor it for your own benefit. And that's what Martina's done, that's what Sophie's done, and that's what we do. Because when you can learn anything with this kind of efficiency, success becomes a lot closer and a lot easier to attain. Think about how many things you've read in the past, you've learned in the past, and now you've forgotten. Imagine if you're able to retain them with this kind of efficiency. Now, some people say, yep, you could use this for presentation notes, notes from a book you're reading, presentation, client meeting notes, okay, a book that you're studying. You can also use this for languages as well, okay? Instead of linking the number to the word, you link the word in your mother tongue to the word in your target language. And you draw a bond of memory between the two. I mean, who here would like to learn another language? Now think about one of the main things why people don't learn languages, because they think, I learned 30 words today. In a week, how many of those words am I going to remember? Half if I'm lucky. Doesn't seem like a good investment of time. Whereas if you apply this technique, you know that I studied 30, I'm going to remember 30. There was a study done by the Wall Street Journal that said for you to be able to understand 75% of a language, you need 1,000 words. For you to be able to understand 80% of a language, you need another 1,000, so 2,000 words. This is because the closer you get to fluency, the more words you need in order to progress. But let's say instead of 20, we gave Martina 30 bits of information, 30 foreign words. It took her, what, a few seconds per word? Let's say we said it took her a minute per word. So in 30 minutes, she memorized 30 words. And does that for 30 days of a month. 900 words in a month. A month and a half, 1,350. Which means that in a month and a half, Martina is able to learn and understand at least 75% of everything that's happening around her in any country of her choosing. This is true freedom. And it sounds almost unrealistic, but again, the thing I want you to take away from this presentation is what you think is unrealistic isn't. It's just that you don't know the right strategy yet. And this is why we're here. Calvin.
That was a really impressive demonstration, Martina. Thank you for that. You said right at the start that this wasn't a storytelling strategy. Are you able to describe what strategies, from a very high level, the sort of strategies that you did use during that, just so to give us a taster of how you did what you did?
Sure. I mean, Martin, you can take that, or I can take it, because I mean, teach people how to be able to do this. So I can tell you what I would teach. So in this case, what we've done is we've taken the three main characteristics of our memory. So first thing is visual. So every single word that you've given Martina through practice has been able to convert it into an image immediately, which is why sometimes she may not understand the word itself, but she's able to memorize it. Like, for example, ball gown. After that, then there's a technique we use to associate the number itself to the image of the word. So when you asked her number 6, she told you genocide. When you asked her hay fever, she better tell you the number as well. So again, using the associative part of our memory to link the two. And then for emotion, you need to make sure the association between the two is weird enough that it's going to stick in your memory. Okay, for example, if everyone's sitting in the room they're sitting in right now, and a naked man with a beard came riding through on a tricycle, you'd remember this for quite a while, wouldn't you? Because it's very, very strange. This is the kind of thing that you need to do with your memory, because if it's weird, you're going to remember it, and it's going to stand the test of time. With repetition, it's very, very normal. You're saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. There's no real reason for that to stick in your memory. So this, on a high level, is the technique you use. And then you can extrapolate that and use it for anything. Be it speech, like Sophie was mentioning. We teach people how to memorize podcasts, memorize conversations, deck of cards, okay, pages of a textbook, same thing. But always comes down to these three main characteristics, and that's why it's important to understand how to harness them properly. Make sense, Calvin?
It does. I guess the one that stands out is that 20-digit number at the end, which doesn't have the dates and the Valentines and the explosion.
Exactly.
Which I'm puzzled as to how you're able to learn that so quickly, forwards and backwards.
And so in this case, what she's done is she's used a similar framework that you guys did, but obviously she's able to now give images to these parts of the numbers very, very quickly, which again is something that will teach. For example, Sophie mentioned a 50-digit number, the same thing that she'll do. So she will hear the number and then immediately give it an image and then associate it together.
Can I give Calvin a quick example of that? Okay. So as I was saying, when you have an image associated with everything. So 43, my image is Rome. So it's the Colosseum. So anytime I see 43 written, I know 43 equals Rome. I have an image, and that's how you start connecting lots of images together. I hope that gives you like a little insight.
Exactly. And thank you very much for that, Sophie. And what we'll do is we'll help you to come up with the system yourself.
Because 43 has nothing to do with Rome. It's just you decide it is Rome, do you?
Yes, and you will personalize it yourself.
Okay. So then 87 could be Paris, for instance. You could.
So yeah, there is a more systematic way to approach it, but yeah, there's no reason why it can't be. There's no reason why it can't be, but we would tell you, we go through the process of helping you to come up with this system yourself, and it makes it makes a bit more systematic sense. It's not just, okay, right, this is Dubai.
Do you have, could you relate the numbers to letters? So
you could.
A, B, C, D. So D, being the fourth letter of the alphabet, would be Denmark or something.
Yes, you could. We use a different technique because that could get a little bit confusing. When you start chaining a lot of things together. But again, there's no reason why. Many different people in the past who've used memory techniques would have done something similar. The strategy we've come up with seems to be the simplest way for you to get to the same result.
I find numbers the most difficult thing to remember. I can't even remember my mobile number. I find
of course. I think people will kind of differ. Some people prefer words, some people prefer numbers as well. The key thing is trying to find a system that works for you. For example, Sophie said her image of 43 is Rome. Mine is something completely different. But again, it works for me. So as soon as you find something that works for you, this is where the personalized.
What do you use?
For me, I would use a captain of a ship.
A cat's name?
A captain of a ship.
A captain of a ship?
Yes.
So Cook, for instance.
Yeah, mine's not any captain in particular, but that's what I would use. But again, the process is you need to go and you need to develop your own system. And that's the key thing.
Right.
But obviously now it sounds very, very well. How does this work? Because we obviously go through a very systematic way of, okay, this is the technique. This is why you do what you do. Then later on, okay, right, let's create it together. Let's trial the system. Okay, right, this one doesn't work. Let's change this. And over time, you get the system that you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Louise. Oh, sorry. Was that did I answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Louise? You're on mute, Louise, but I can't see the mute sign. I'm not sure.
Oh no, you're on, Louise, I think.
Am I on? Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm thinking about people I know who have dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
So they've always struggled to take in information because they can't read the book, or and then if they're listening to audio, they can't write the notes. Would dyslexia stop someone from learning from this?
No. So we have people that have had dyslexia or that have dyslexia that have taken the course. It wouldn't stop you from doing it. Now, one thing I'll be very clear on is we don't profess to be able to solve and to cure dyslexia.
No.
Okay, but what we can do is we can help level the playing field to a certain extent. So help you understand how to not allow those learning difficulties hold you back as much as they have done in the past. And that's why the way we do the course is very personalized. So you have a one-to-one mentor. Your mentor's job is to help you push through those obstacles and to find a strategy that works for you.
Okay. I've got another question.
Sure.
So how do we find out about costs and
Sure, of course. So at the end, what we're going to do is we're going to send a link where you can essentially have a consultation with a mentor like myself or Martina, so you can understand some of the packages that we offer, and also importantly to understand what your goals are, because it's important to tailor the service we give to your goals to make sure that the two are aligned. So you'll be able to do that afterwards, and I would say it is first come first serve, so our time is limited, but we'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you and it's a chat and see, listen, what do you want to achieve and why do you think this course is going to help you? And we'll give you our honest opinion as to whether we think it's the right thing for you, or if we're not, we'll point you in a direction that we think we'll be able to help.
Cool, thank you.
No worries. Tim.
Ask Sophie a question, please. I think, Sophie, did you say you went on this course back in December?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
How much do you say has stayed with you these, 4 or 5 months later, that you're actually applying day to day?
Oh, great question. So I apply everything that I've learned pretty much every day, because it is with my work now, I could probably remember all your names, where you come from, what you do, how many children you have. And that means that next time we meet, we can have a conversation. You think, oh, that's nice. Sophie remembers my kids' names, that kind of thing. There's also a part of the course where they teach you how to take proper notes and turn those notes into mind maps. So every time I have a meeting, I create mind maps. So I don't write out a page of bullet points anymore, because when you go back to those bullet points to try and remember things, you're just reading off a list. If you create a mind map and they teach you how to do it and how to read a mind map properly, that's fantastic. So I do that every day. One of my goals when taking the course was to improve how much I read. So I could probably get through a book once a month, because I would pick it up, read it, forget about it, get distracted. I now read 2 books a week, on average about 400 pages each, because they've taught me the techniques on how to do it. So you can use this course and the techniques that you learn in absolutely everyday life. From if your husband or wife says to you, can you go to the shops and get these 5 things, you probably just get it in your head instead of writing it down. So it can be used for anything, really. So I hope that answers the question, Tim.
It does. Yeah, thank you very much.
But like anything, you've got to practice, because if you just walk away from the course and never do anything again, you'll think, oh yeah, I should have used that. So it's like anything, you've got to practice.
And have you practiced subsequently pretty well every day the techniques?
Pretty much, but then eventually it becomes second nature. Actually, I dream about some of the number techniques that I use, which is gets into your head. And because I also work in France and I needed to improve my French, I practice every day using the techniques as well. So that's really helpful.
Thanks, Sophie.
I'm not getting paid for these recommendations, by the way. Genuinely has been a fantastic course, which is why I wanted to share it with you guys.
Brilliant. And just thank you for the question, Tim. And just on that, I touched upon it in the beginning, and I'll say it again. My desire and our desire at Genius is not just to say, listen, this is what you guys could get to. Imagine if you could do this, but it's to introduce you to these techniques and then walk with you in the process to mastering them. And that's what Sophie has been able to do. I mean, and the best thing about it is when you learn the techniques and you apply it, you get two benefits. Number one, you're using the techniques to do your tasks faster, more effectively. And number two, the more you use the techniques, the faster they become to use. And so it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you do it, the better you get, but the better you get, the more you want to do it. And that's the goal for us, because that's when you want to use them a lot, and you get to that true point of independence. Okay, our goal is for you to leave the genius nest as soon as possible, okay, and spread your wings and fly to whatever location you desire. Thank you, Tim. Shwalim.
Hi. My question is to do with, could you be able to remember faces using this technique?
You would be able to remember faces, yes. And I would say you have an innate ability to already remember faces, which ties back into what I was saying initially around easier to memorize a face than a name. So you have an innate ability to do so. What you'll be able to do with this is not only remember the face, but like Sophie was saying, remember the name of the person and also information about that person as well. Because it's all good you know someone, but it's all good you recognize someone, but you want to be able to have a chat with them, remember things you discussed, and progress that relationship further. So that's something that you would be able to do. Yes.
Well, the question I was asking was when you meet somebody and you don't recognize them, but they can recognize you.
Okay.
Well, we met, you don't remember.
Yes. So I think there would be the techniques are very, very flexible. So it's not something that anyone's ever asked me to do, but in my head I'm already thinking about strategies that I would use or I'd recommend to being able to do that. But yes, it would be possible. And as always, guys, I mean, learning is a case of you try, you see what works, you see what doesn't, and you amend your strategy over time. So that's what I'd say we would do. Good.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, good. Fantastic. Kelly?
Just a quick one, but maybe for Martina, but how long will you remember this list? Like, is it already gone, or is it something that like you'll think of a week from now?
Go, Martina.
Okay, I thought you were going to say. So as Yao normally says, if you bet with me a lot of money that you want me to remember this forever, I can do it straight away. But in this specific case, this information is not something that I need. So I wouldn't really memorize it long term, but for anything that I want to memorize long term, I just apply the long term memorization and I can remember it forever.
Fair enough. That makes sense.
and also
very impressive.
Also on that one, Kelly, as well, the 20-minute speech that I memorized, which was back in, when did I do that? Yeah, was it February time?
Yeah, January, February. It was February.
I can't give away the secret techniques in the course, but using the techniques that I have, I can remember the 20-minute speech from January, and I only did it once. So if you know how, it can stick up there, which is cool.
Indeed. And like I said, our goal is to give you these strategies. How you deploy the strategies, how you use them is completely up to you. But we want to give you the confidence that you can, no matter what the goal, use them and they'll come to the fore. Fantastic. Any other questions, guys? Okay, brilliant.
Are you doing it online always? Are you doing your courses online, or are you going to do them in person?
So the course is split into different parts. We have part of the course that's done one-to-one. We have part of the course that's done as a group, and we have part of the course that's done part of the one-to-one and as a group. Now the weekend, so it's a weekend and then follow-up sessions to kind of teach you how to master the techniques. The weekend is normally done in person, but obviously during COVID we've transitioned to online. And so actually online's been really It's forced us to innovate quite a bit, which has been really good. So we're probably going to do, when things open up and people get comfortable being in the room with the same people for 3 days, we're probably going to do one in person and one online and alternate like that. But the follow-up sessions afterwards, where you actually learn how to master these techniques, will be done online, because it's easy to attend, accessible, and recordings can be sent as well. So that's something that we will continue to do. But the introduction to the techniques, so then fully immersive weekend, will be done in person when we can. And it's a very enjoyable experience as well. Good, fantastic. So in the last 10 minutes, what I would like to do is I'd like to show you, I'd like to explain some of the other areas of learning that we cover. Because when it comes to learning in general, is memory the only thing that you need to be concerned with? No. Memory is just one of many phases that together, create what we would call learning. So to understand this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe to you the prime method. Now, what is the prime method? This is the framework that we've created, which addresses every single part of the learning process. So imagine you have a book in front of you that's closed on the desk and you need to learn it. What's the first thing you need to do? Open the book. Sounds like a bad joke, but how many times have you known that you needed to come and start studying, start learning, acquiring new skill, but when it gets the time to begin, you convince yourself that something different is more important and you procrastinate. Ever happened to anyone? Happens to all of us. Procrastination is the one enemy that's never defeated, and we're all battling at the same time. So we need to get used to opening the book. Now, once you open the book, what's the next thing you do? Read. Now, as human beings, why do we read anything? We read to understand. And here we've used the word internalize, to absorb the knowledge. Now, once you've read and internalized, the next thing you need to do is then memorize. Store what you've read and understood in the past so you can use that knowledge at a later moment in time. And then after you've memorized, the last stage you need to do is the express. You need to be able to show that you know the knowledge. It could be in a client meeting, it could be in an exam, it could be in a task you need to do at work. But it's not enough just to know something, you need to be able to demonstrate that you know it. And so these are the 6 stages of learning. Does anyone think we've forgotten any stage out? I hope not, because we wouldn't be good at our job if we did. But I don't think we have. So, very quickly, I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we cover in each of the stages. So, first stage, prepare. So, prime, P-R-I-M-E. Prepare. So here we're going to look at, number one, increasing motivation to study. And here we use study/learn, so acquiring new skills. The second thing we'll look at is also time management. A lot of the time, people don't give themselves enough time to learn, to acquire new knowledge. They're so concerned with doing their day-to-day, they don't give themselves enough time to actually grow their competence, grow their knowledge in their current area of work. And the last thing is to understand how to learn strategically. Most people, whenever they have a task to do, they already just run and start doing it. It's important to take a step back and understand, for the strategy that I'm going to use, is it the best one? Is there a better one out there? This is when you get to the point where you become independent, because you can critically analyze the task and you can select the best strategy to be able to achieve that task the fastest and most efficient way. So this is preparation. Very, very important. And here, like Tim was mentioning, we focus a lot on mindset. So this ties into the motivation side of things. So next we have read. Now here, I talk about improving your focus when reading. I'd like you to be honest for a second. Has it ever happened to you that you've been reading, you've got to the end of a page or a paragraph, you're about to turn over, and you ask yourself, wait, what the heck did I just read? You got to read it again and again. Ever happened to anyone? Again, happens all the time. Now, a lot of the time, this is due to, I would say, I don't call it lack of focus, but a lack of directed focus, because your mind is wandering, And in this case, you want your mind to wander in the right places. If you're reading a book on, I don't know, property, and you start thinking, how does this relate to my investment portfolio with X? This is a good distraction, because now you're starting to make connections between what you're reading and what you already know. Bad distraction is reading a book about property and going, oh, bangers and mash for tonight. No, I don't think I want that. Okay, this is a bad distraction because it's not related to what you're reading. So we need to understand how to increase our focus when we read, which will already start to improve our speed of reading. The second thing is strategic reading. Now, Sophie touched upon this before. When it comes to reading, it's important to have a strategy in mind, okay? Because you shouldn't read two things in the same way. If the purpose is different, if the content is different, if your background knowledge is different, your strategy should be changed. And so we'll teach you how to be able to choose the best strategy to get to your goal as quick as possible. And the minimum result we can guarantee is that at the very least, you'll be able to double your speed in reading. That's the very least. Now, Sophie mentioned that she went from reading 1 book a month to 2 books a week. Okay, this is obviously more than double. Now, there is no ceiling to what you can achieve, but what we can guarantee is that at the very least, you'll be able to double your speed in reading. So, this is for read. Any questions? Fantastic. So we come into I. Now, I here stands for internalizing. So we split this up into 3 main phases. Number 1, understanding. Number 2, processing. And number 3, organization. Organization of the information itself. Now we work on all 3 of these stages. Number 1, how to be able to improve the speed and effectiveness of your understanding. Okay, how fast can you see something new and make it make sense to you? Second thing, processing. These relate to how you take notes. If you're the kind of person who takes notes and just writes it out over and over, writes it out in full, and then tries to go to bullet points and then tries to go to, this isn't the best way to approach note taking. Note taking needs to be created on a foundation of understanding. Too often, we'll read something, take notes, and expect to come back and read those notes and to understand it. Isn't always the case. So how to be able to effectively process information. Then the last thing is we'll teach you how to be able to organize information effectively, like Sophie mentioned, using mind maps. Now this is key because the more you understand, the less you need to remember. And the better information is organized, the faster it is to recall. So internalization is a precursor to memory for good reason. And we'll teach you how to be able to use these techniques effectively. So this is for I, internalizing. All clear? Amazing. Next, we have memory. Okay, we spoke about memory already, so I'll be quite quick, but you can use the techniques you've seen to memorize things like foreign words, abstract information, numbers, and also we spoke about how to be able to take anything you learn from your long-term memory, from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. Okay, again, think about how many things you've learned in the past and you've forgotten. This is what I always say to people when they're thinking about the course and how is it going to be beneficial to me. If I knew every single thing right now that I've learned in my entire life, what would change? So this is memorizing. And last but not least, we have express. And the 2 ways to work here are peak performance. So peak performance, what do I mean? Have you ever been nervous, anxious, worried before a meeting or presentation before? Ever happened to anyone? Happened to all of us. Now, no matter how well you've learned, is it easy to give your best when you have those feelings of stress and anxiety? No. Brain freeze, mind going blank is a common symptom. So we'll teach you how to be able to manage your performance so that you're able to manage these feelings of stress and anxiety so you can perform at your best. And then last but not least, we have public speaking. Because a lot of the time, the knowledge that we learn, or knowledge that we spend the time learning, we need to be able to communicate it, be it to a group of people, clients, okay, or to get people to buy into our idea. So it's very important to understand how to communicate that knowledge to other people as well. And so here we have the 5 stages of learning, PRIME, the PRIME method. And we work on all of these stages. Because it's impossible to say, I'm going to improve you as a learner and to focus on only one stage. You need to work on all of them simultaneously, and then, like usual, a rising tide will raise all the ships. So any questions? Fantastic. Fantastic. Go on, sorry. Oh, go on, sorry, Florence.
Yeah. How, I don't know how to pose the question, but I'm just trying to relate this to a condition of dementia.
Mm-hmm.
Does this help in any way?
So again, I definitely won't profess to be able to cure dementia, because this is, many people far smarter than me are doing much more research to address it. What I will say, and what I've heard in the past in some of my research, is obviously dementia is the breaking down of certain neural pathways or synapses in your brain. Now, what this does help you to do is to build those synapses faster right now. So while we can't necessarily slow down the rate of those synapses breaking down, it's easier for you to create new synapses right now, which means that there's ultimately more to break down. So that's the only link I would draw between dementia and this. But yeah, dementia is a problem that hopefully gets solved very, very quickly. It's a very, very brutal, affliction. But I think that's the way that I would say we can helping you to create memories either faster and create bonds in your brain faster as well, which means that there's more to break down if you are unfortunate and you do have it. But I would say I would also draw a distinction between dementia and natural age. As you grow older, your brain obviously starts to dull. Okay. Now, for your brain dulling, we can help there. If it's dementia, that's a slightly more severe issue that that would obviously require more of an expert to look at as well. Did I answer your question, Florence? Fantastic. So I know I've approached the end of my time. So one thing I do want to say is, given like I said, this is a whirlwind tour of a long journey that Sophie very eloquently described her own one of. And for some of you that are thinking, listen, this could be something I'm very interested in, and I'd like to find out more. What I'm going to do is, or Martina is going to put a link in the chat, and this link will allow you to book a time with a mentor. So it'll be myself or Martina or one of my other colleagues, Sachin, and there we'll be able to understand what your own individual goals are. Listen, guys, learning is so unique. I can't say, listen, this is going to work for you without understanding what you want to do, where you want to achieve, and what your own areas you want to work on are. So we'll understand that in this session, and then we'll understand how the course can help you to get there. Because I know the course will help you, but I want you to be aware of how it's going to help you as well. So copy and paste this link into your browser. Again, Sophie, I don't know, maybe we can send it around to people as well if they watch the recording.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that.
Fantastic. And I do want to say, guys, thank you very much for having both Martina and I here. I hope we've had 90 minutes, so we've shown you a little bit more about what your brain can do in these 90 minutes. And the key thing is, guys, never stop learning. Okay, it's something we have to do anyway, so you may as well enjoy it and may as well find the best way to get to our goals, because it really is the missing key between where you are right now and where you want to be in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Martina. We will. We're going to send around that link, but thank you everyone for giving us an hour and a half for your time. Really appreciate it when we know how busy you are. Hope we've given you an insight into what Genius can do, and the support of the mentors there is really invaluable. But also they're great members of WBC, so we'll see them at some networking events too. And next time we do, we're going to have to ask Martina what number 6 was and see if she can. Well, she's already told us she's. What is number 6, Martina?
The worst one is genocide.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, we'll send around that link so you can keep in touch with the guys as well. But it's been lovely to see you. The next WBC event is tomorrow evening. It's our property and construction networking event with the Crown Estate. So we'd love to see you there as well. But if you're not already involved with WBC, please do drop me a line. I'd love to find out a little bit more about what you do and how we can help. But it's been great to see you. And thanks again, Jan, Martina. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Are you working in Westminster now? Are you working from Westminster Hall?
We're still working from home at the moment, but I'll be down in London on Monday and Wednesday next week.
Great. Okay. So I might come and see you if that's all right.
Yes, of course. Yeah, please do send me
Which floor are you now on?
Oh gosh, they're always moving us around. I think it might be. I don't know. I'll have to double check with Elizabeth where we are now.
Well, if you could drop me a line and tell me where you are, and because I'd love to come and see you.
Yes, Wonderful. Thanks, Christabel, and hope Howard's well as well.
Yeah, he is. I'm sure you saw him leaping in and out behind me. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so
Excellent.
much.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Sophie, 1 second, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been wanting to refer two of my mentees to you. They are students at the University of Greenwich, and they're just looking for ways of networking and being part of a group. And I think I sent you an email regarding one. Her name was Melanie, and there's this other one. Her name is Laura. I'm yet to refer that one. Can I refer both of them to you again?
Yeah, sure. I did reply to the first one you introduced me to. I replied to, but I didn't hear anything back. But do connect us again, and I'll hopefully she can come along to something.
Okay then. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Florence. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.